presenting to you former Secretary Dr. William.
Thank you very much, Attorney Dante, for your kind introduction. Let's recognize here the presence of Secretary Pete Aguirre. Palakpakan po natin. Meron rin tayong isang bishop dito na babas-bas po sa akin para mayroon tayong makuhang lesson dito po sa presentation natin ngayon. Si Bishop Rufino Maligtao. Palakpakan din natin. Nandito rin ang aking kababayan member of the Provincial Board of Agriculture of PRC, si Sunny Domingo. Okay. Sa lahat po na nandito ngayon sa Leaders Forum, talaga naman we salute all of you for choosing this discussion on modernizing Philippine agriculture towards ensuring food security of this country. So magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Good afternoon. So let's start. Ito po yung kontribusyon ng ating sektor ng agrikultura sa ating ekonomiya. It contributes 9.55%. This is the share of agriculture to the gross domestic product. So, nung mga 20-30 years ago ay mataas-taas pa, mga 20 siguro. But because other sectors like manufacturing and services ay umaangat din, ay ito na yung natitira na kontribusyon dun sa ating kaban ng bayan. Now, but one thing to highlight would be, yung raw materials na galing sa sektor ng agrikultura, particularly for food and beverages, ay ang laki po ng kontribusyon, 58.7 billion pesos sa ating GDP. So pag pinagsama mo itong raw materials na almost 10%, about 20% is in manufacturing. So 20 plus 10, that's again a very substantial contribution ng agriculture sa ating ekonomiya. Now, dito rin sa sektor ng agrikultura, yung ating national employment share sa sektor ng agrikultura ay mataas, 24.2%. And that's about 10.6 million individuals directly and indirectly employed in agriculture. Now, mayroon rin tayong trade in terms of export trade, particularly on top of these commodities, products like coconut oil, fresh banana, pineapple products, among others. Sa 2021 po ay malaking ambag, 6.79 billion. Pero kung ikukumpara po natin yung imports na para sa ating agriculture and food products ay nadodoble, almost 12 billion pesos. So negative po tayo in terms of the balance of trade. Now, itong third quarter ng 2023, ito yung performance po ng sektor ng agrikultura. Hindi lumago, bagkus bumaba, nag-decline ng 0.3%. So that's the growth rate this last third quarter. And the value of the production, the growth value is equivalent to 412 billion pesos. Now, tingnan natin kung saan galing itong iba't ibang value of production. 4 na subsectors po ay nandyan sa sektor ng agrikultura. Itong crops ay, this is the contribution of crops, 222.69 billion, followed by livestock. This is mostly pigs and cattle, 66.11 billion, then poultry, 64.89 billion, and fisheries, 58.72 billion. Now, in terms of the growth, itong last third quarter, ito po, sa crops ay negative 0.4%. Ang livestock ay umangat from previous quarters, last 2 quarters ay negative. So ngayon ay nakikita natin yung pag-rebound ng sektor ng livestock. Kasi nandyan pa man yung problema natin sa African swine fever. So yun ang dagok natin sa livestock sector. At pabalik-balik kasi nandyan pa yung mga nagbebenta ng mga double dead. At kahit yung mga longganisa, mga tusino na yan ay hindi naman fully cooked, ay ito yung nagdadala, mas lalo kung ginamit nila ay may African swine fever. So poultry continues to be on the positive note, ay tumataas at halos 100% na po tayo sa poultry, self-sufficient. At sa fisheries ay 6.1 negative. Palagi itong last 1 year or 2 years, ang fisheries ay talagang negative palagi. At sana with the coming in of the new secretary, ay fisheries sector siya, doon siya nagnenegosyo, ay malaking ambag niya sa paglago ngayon ng sektor ng fisheries. Now, in terms of contribution percentage level, dito po sa crop sector nasa 50.8%. So halos karamihan ay galing sa crop sector. Ang livestock and poultry nasa 34.6% or 0.5%. At ang fisheries ay 16%. So yun po ang contribution dun sa total total production value ng sektor ng agrikultura. So, ano kaya yung mga challenges, mga problema that hindered yung paglago, yung growth ng sektor ng agrikultura sa ating bansa? Ang dami po. At ngayon ay siguro gusto kong banggitin in general now because there are a number of these rules in the next slide. In general, ang productivity level ng agriculture ay mas mababa kumpara mo sa productivity levels ng top 5 countries ng ASEAN. So total factor productivity is lower than that of Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam. And so we need to, anong ibig sabihin? Productivity is a function of technology and innovation, of course land area, and many other support services. Ang ibig sabihin, hindi pa masyado tayong gumagamit ng mga makabagong mga technology at mga innovation. And that's the effect now of having a low total factor. Now, let's discuss one by one. Ito po yung among many others, hindi lang ito yung mga problema natin, but ito yung major. Nasabi ko na yung low productivity as major also. But let's start with this number 1 here, small landholders. Diba yung mga nasa pagsasaka, kagaya ng sa palay production, rice production, more than a hectare na lang ang average. So, ano po ibig sabihin? Although we continue to till our lands at ang productivity natin kumpara ng small land holdings doon sa mas mga malalaking land holdings ay mas mababa talaga galing sa small land holdings. So, walang economies of scale na tinatawag. Mas lalo na kung nandyan sana ang private sector na tutulong sa agrikultura, ay nawala na yung mga corporate farms because of the implementation of the agrarian reform law. Nawasak ang mga corporate farms at ang naiwan na lang, ito nga maliliit na mga land holdings ng ating mga magsasaka. So which means, ito na yung modelo natin for the last how many decades. Maliliit na land holdings and the productivity has not really advanced in many respects. But let's welcome si Chancellor Ruben Villarreal.
Thank you.
So I was already describing Doc Ruben, yung major boosts or challenges in agriculture, and we're starting to highlight itong small land holdings. So marami ng pag-aaral na itong maliliit po na sakahan ay kumpara mo dun sa mas malaki, 10, 15, 20 hectares, ay mas mataas po ang ating ani. Now, the very reason again, hindi po kaya ng isang small farmer to buy a tractor. Hindi po kaya ng isang farmer na maliit na to buy a drone, for example, yung ginagamit na ngayon sa fertilizer application, even in direct seeding and the like. So, mechanization, hindi naman kaya, as I've said, kasi kulang ang kita. Now, the second challenge is protectionist trade policies. Simulat sa fall, itong last 50 years, ay nandyan na yung protectionist-oriented policies natin sa agriculture. At yun nga, nagsabay itong small land holdings, tapos ito pa, protectionist trade policies, ay talagang ang umaasa palagi ay yung subsidiya na galing gobyerno. And I will come into that, why we need to balance our protectionism vis-a-vis liberalization. Kasi siguro this early sasabihin ko, we can protect a good number of our agricultural commodities. Yung kaya natin na mayroon tayong comparative advantage or may competitive edge tayo sa ibang bansa. Otherwise, we cannot really be self-sufficient in many cases in all the commodities. Now, the third woe, matagal na tayo sa climate change. Malaki na po ang impact ng climate change, and so we are still neglecting to do climate resiliency or implement climate resiliency adaptation measures, including that mitigation measures. So, whether we like it or not, nandiyan yung problema na ito. Although hindi tayo yung gumawa ng problema, kasama tayo sa isang planeta, ay tayo ay damay. And so, maybe our gas emissions ay kukunti kumpara dun sa mga highly industrialized countries in the world. So, we would like to believe na kahit maliit na bansa po tayo, ay let's make our agriculture resilient. Okay, the last one here is the credit facilities limited access. Mas gugustuhin pa ng isang maliit na magsasaka na pupunta sa isang trader, pumilang, at walang masyadong papeles. Ha? Yan, nilalagay lang sa libro. At ito nga, hanggang ngayon, ganun po ang pagkaran. Kung yung traders po ang nagbibigay ng pautang during harvest, ay siya na yung nagdidikta ng presyo dito sa ating mga magsasaka. So, the farmers are at the mercy of the traders na sana, of course, again, traders are important in the whole value chain system, but sana they should also moderate their greed. Okay. So, as I've said, ito po ay the major challenges. There are many other challenges, like what is happening today. Banggitin ko na, matataas ang presyo ng ating pagkain. Diba? Sana hindi kayo na indigestion. Kasi late yung pagkain, pero dumating pa rin. So, kumpira po natin yung panahon ni President Duterte with that of the 1 year, 10 months ng presidente natin being the Agriculture Secretary. Kayo na magsabi, mas mataas ang presyo ng ating pagkain. Wala pa yung problema noon ng asukal, 50 to 80 pesos. Wala pa yung problema noon ng sibuyas, ganun din, 50 to 80 pesos. Wala tayong pilahan sa bigas dati. Ngayon, tumataas ang presyo ng bigas. Well, these are factual findings. Hindi ito gawa na hindi tayo nakaupo doon, ay hindi na natin sasabihin ano yung facts that we have at hand. So yun po ang katotohanan. And that's why, yung food inflation is one of the major challenges that this administration must solve and manage properly. Okay, next. So ano po ang dapat gagawin? Marami na mga eksperto nagsasabi ng ibang solusyon. At we don't have limitations of experts. Nandiyan ang mga UPLB, all over the country, may mga university experts tayo. So, let me go to the next slide by highlighting na nung nandun po tayo sa DA, I started August of 2019 and ended June 2022. So, 2 years, 10 months, nandun po tayo. Panukalan natin, start na natin itong tinatawag natin na agenda for transforming Philippine agriculture. So, halos kumpleto. Nasabi na ni Atty. Dante kanina, yung 4 na pillars, itong 1GA reform agenda, consolidation, modernization, industrialization, and professionalization. Underneath these are the various strategies that we have outlined. And as a matter of fact, ito po yung inspiration po natin. We had all the roadmaps in about 18 commodity industries formulated and was done during the first quarter of 2022. Diba? Pumasok ang administration nito ng third quarter ng 2022. So, it's a matter of implementing. Meron ng roadmap kahit anong commodity industry. Now, on top of that, nagkaroon rin tayo ng formulation ng 10-year strategic plan nito. And that's there. The new secretary can read through all these roadmaps, all this strategic plan. It's just a matter of tweaking. It's just a matter of strengthening what we do. But these are the very fundamentals of transforming Philippine agriculture. Now, let's go forward. Okay, number one. Ito yung, I will now go to the major strategies that this administration will have to pursue. Ito ay suggestion po natin kay Secretary Tio Laurel na naumpisa na namin itong farm clustering noong 2021. Dapat ituloy niya ito at pinagpapatuloy naman ng mahal na Pangulo at sana itong bagong Secretary ay pagpatuloy pa niya for the very purpose to develop economies of scale. And I will highlight a number of reasons why do we need economies of scale. Dati-dati, yun nga, yung corporate farms ay nandyan. But because of the agrarian reform law, ay nawala halos yung mga corporate farms. And so, our export industry has suffered, particularly for agriculture. Now, in clustering, di ba, dati-dati ang servisyo na binibigay ng gobyerno ay individual farm. Hindi na po kaya yun. Hindi na po kaya na yung delivery of services ay individual. We need now to group them or group you so that you will have access to modern technology. So either early on, the grouping could be an association, but eventually it has to lead to cooperatives. Dapat kooperatiba under the RCEP, yung sa Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund under Rice Tarification Law, na sabi na doon na ang pagbibigay ng mga serbisyo ng gobyerno ay through farmers, cooperatives, and associations. So yun, we need to build that upon. We need to elevate our game to go to this clustering, cooperatives development, and this is the segue to the next item, joint venture arrangements with the private sector. So ang ibig sabihin, yung kooperatiba ang magkiki-joint venture na sa isang pribadong nagnenegosyo sa agrikultura para sa ganun, itong mga farmers natin na miyembro ng kooperatiba ay magiging parte na doon sa value chain system ng pribadong sektor. Diba ang problema palagi natin? Credit, access, and affordability, market access and or market availability. Eh kung nakipartner sana ang mga kooperatiba sa mga pribadong sektor, ay ito na yung mga pribadong sektor na may puso at damdamin. So that's the qualifier. Inclusive, palagi i-highlight natin, inclusivity is key kasi karamihan ay small farmers, okay? Small fisher folks. So ito na yung second strategy. Encourage and work with the private sector to invest in agriculture production and in agribusiness. So, one after the other nga, how can a private sector do? Kasi wala naman siya mabili, hindi naman pwede siya bumili ng hektarya. That's not allowed presently. The best we can do is leasehold system. Pwede naman i-lease ng mga small farmers yung lupa nila sa mga pribado. So, may inclusive contract arrangement or joint venture arrangement. Now, the idea of having to have the private sector and partnering with the private sector is they have the best of technologies. They can source out those technologies in other countries of the world. And so, including their management know-how, their money, and their market. Now, again, as you are bringing more investment from the private sector to agriculture and agribusiness, we will be creating more jobs. Hindi na lang 24% of the total employed ay at that level, but it can increase beyond 24%. So job generation is key, and we have to highlight to also enhance diversification of agriculture and agribusiness. Kasi kagaya sa rice production, yung batas po natin, mayroon isang portion doon na one area to be funded so that you can devote those rice lands na hindi naman akmang-akma sa rice production for high-value crops, fruits and vegetables. Okay, so ito, importante po. Ito ngayon, dito ako ngayon nagiging, I'm presently consulting with Go Negosyo and helping them bring the private sector, partner with government to help the cooperatives and or the farmers in general and fishers. So, ang tawag po yung programa natin na yan, under Go Negosyo of Joey Concepcion, ay Kapatid Angat Lahat Agri Program. Kalap ang acronym po. So, ang mayroon na po na hikayat po natin na 50 na mga pribadong companies now having signed up with government and partnering with cooperatives and associations via the clustered farming approach. So ganoon, nakikita natin na mas maiangat ang kabuhayan, ang produksyon at kita ng ating magsasaka with a strong partnership with the private sector. Dapat hindi ninyo tingnan na sila yung kompetisyon. Dapat titingnan natin sila na sila yung pwedeng tumulong basta ang business model nila ay very inclusive. Okay? Okay, the third one, work with Congress to increase land retention or limit per farmer to 25 hectares. Diba, anong limit ngayon as per the agrarian reform law?
7
or 5 hectares, diba? Mayroon 5 hectares, nanganak pa, may anak pa, na-divide kung 5 anak, di naging 1 hektarya na lang. Nanganak ulit itong anak. So, talagang paliit na paliit itong ating land holdings. So, mayroon naman existing resettlement law noong panahon yata ni President Magsaysay, yung resettlement sa Mindanao. Ang land retention ay 24 hectares. So, near that, I think this could be a better arrangement than having a 1 hectare average, particularly in rice production. Okay, so we can optimize the productivity of our lands, of course, optimize utilization. We can attract more investments kasi ang daming naghahanap ng malalaking areas at kukunti lang yung kausapin nila at may pera sila. Kahit dito mayroon ako namit dito na may funders na basta may feasibility study ka at may plano ka, ay mayroon pondo agad. That's good. Now, so we would like to believe that this is one model, yung partnership of these cooperatives with private sector, so that you can have even the land retention limit of 25 hectares for any individual, so you can enhance economic prosperity in the long run. Okay, ito na yung ginagawa ngayon ng DA with LGUs, di ba? Let me emphasize na dun sa farm clustering ay hindi lang kaya ng DA yan. Kasi wala naman tauhan sa probinsya at munisipyo. Hanggat region lang ang Department of Agriculture. So, ang ibig sabihin, dapat talaga malakas ang ugnayan ang national government with that of the local government in all respect. So ito yung boosting productivity and competitiveness. Ngayon, nagbibigay ng mga iba't ibang mga agricultural inputs ang Department of Agriculture. Mas lalo na mga buto, mga fertilizers, and the like. Mayroon akong suggestion. Alam niyo, mas maganda po piliin natin kung saan anong ibibigay sa kanayunan sa mga magsasaka ang Department of Agriculture. Hindi sana na yung mga buto, hindi na sana yung mga fertilizers. Dapat yung tinatawag natin na public goods investment. Mas nakakarami ang makikinabang. Anong kagaya nito? Post-harvest facilities, drying, milling facilities, warehouses, packing areas for vegetables and fruits, farm-to-market roads, rainwater catchment, irrigation systems development. Ito yung pangmaramihan. Ito yung dapat isentro ang paggamit ng DA, including that of LGU, dito po sa public goods investment. Hindi lang yung sa mga buto, hindi lang sa hindi sa buto, hindi sa fertilizers. Because the farmers have to raise its level of competitiveness. Now, competitiveness na mayroon word na ito. Sa palay production po, ikumpara natin, are we competitive if we compare ourselves with our ASEAN countries, particularly Vietnam and Thailand? Hindi po. Ang cost of producing a kilo of palay dito po sa ating bansa ay nasa 12.50. 12 pesos 50 centavos is the cost of producing a kilo of palay. While that of Thailand is 8 pesos, while that of Vietnam is 6 pesos. So, paano ka makakompete sa kanila? Now, sabi siguro ninyo, pumunta lang mga Thailander dito sa Pilipinas, mga Vietnamese, nag-aaral sa Los Baños, din Villarreal ang professor. Talagang marunong po sila mag-implement. Yun ang plus, they have better natural resources like the Mekong Delta. They have water resources. Okay? Ano ang rice productivity ng Thailand compared sa ating rice productivity dito sa Pilipinas? Tayo, nasa level na ng 4.2 tons, metric tons per hectare. Umaangat naman. Ang Thailand, mas mababa po ang productivity nila per unit area. Nasa 3.6 metric tons per hectare. Bakit mas marami silang ine-export? Kasi ang land area nila is, 40% more than we have. And they have the irrigation for double cropping. Dito naman sa atin, may irrigation nga good for 1.5 million hectares. Pero sahod ulan pa rin yung karamihan. So during rainy season, doon ka lang makapag 1.5 million hectares. Pero during dry season, what's the efficiency of our irrigation systems? About 65%. Meaning, hindi mo matamnan lahat yung 1.5 million hectares during dry season. Okay? So yun, ang daming limitation. And that's why itong irrigation systems development is key. Mayroon ng bagong technology na pinopromote ng Israel, yung piping system. Kagaya sa household water supply distribution, di ba? Malalaking tubo at may maliliit na tubo until it reaches the house. Ganun sana ang investment ng NIA na. On top of that, ang NIA can only do 35,000 hectares a year. Developing irrigation system good only for 35,000 hectares. At the rate na mayroon pang 1.1 million hectares na hindi pa na-irrigate, it will take them about 50 years from today to develop all this additional 1.1 million hectares. So, mahalaga at talagang ito, water resources is one key input to rice production. Otherwise, with climate change here, talagang there will be in some areas physical shortage of water. Talagang ganun po ang mangyayari. And that's why we need to do a lot of reforestation. We need to do a lot of adaptation measures to make it possible na we can really live with lower volume of water that will be present. Now, dun sa mga nagsasaka, mayroon na rin mga technology na develop na sa rice production in relation to regenerative agriculture. Anong ibig sabihin ng regenerative agriculture? We need to manage well our soils, so soil health is key. We need to manage well our water resources. We need to manage well and improve biodiversity. And we need to manage well the waste that we produce in the farm. So ibabalik sa farm. Ganun po ang prinsipyo ng regenerative agriculture. Dapat ganun na ang patunguhan natin sa agrikultura. Hindi na yung 100% chemical agriculture. Although of course you can see the difference, but you are not participating, contributing in terms of adapting ourselves to climate change. We continue to have more gas emissions using chemical fertilizers. So yun po, I am now highly advocating regenerative agriculture so that dito sa rice, mayroon yung technology na alternate wet and drying, mayroon yung direct seeding, mayroon din mga varieties na very less lang ang water requirement. So ito, we need to scale them up. Hindi lang technology that can be used in a lower number of hectares, but we have field rice that should be scaling this up as part of their technology development so that we can go follow all these technologies that are part of regenerative agriculture, or you can say agroecological agriculture. Okay? So, dito pa, last item dito, nandito ang bae. Oh, sinabi ko kanina, African swine fever, nandito pa. 100 years old na itong sakit na ito. Umpisa sa Africa, transferring from one region to the other. Dito sa banda, halos bumababa na yung infection, yung presence ng African swine fever in 2022. But this time around, nakikita ko ulit na bumabalik. So we need to up our game, elevate our game in terms of what must be done to really manage properly the spread. Dapat wala na. Marami pa rin mga negosyante na nagbenta or bumibili ng may sakit na at binibenta yan, binubulsa at binibenta. That's how this disease is being spread. Then, okay, ito na yung last strategy na akong babanggitin. PAPES, naumpisa namin ito nung nandyan ako sa DA. Kasi under the local government code, ay na-devolve na yung extension delivery system sa local government unit. And that's why minabuti po natin na nag-partner dapat in a big way, national government represented by the DA with that of the local units. Kasi sila yung may army sa baba. Okay? Sila yung, and for the very principle na ang DA being the national agency will do only the steering. That's the steering function. But doing much of the work, the rowing function, should be done by the LGUs at the provincial and municipal level. So yun, very decentralized na ang agricultural management natin at sana every LGU, kasi hindi naman lahat ay under the local government code, ay hindi mandatory po na magkaroon ng agriculture office. Yun ang problema. Kahit nandun na-devolve na yung extension system, but if the LGU head does not want to give priority to ensuring food security, ayun ang problema. But I think some way or the other, this is one way where the President and the Secretary of Agriculture must strengthen, make it possible, kasi kumakain every Filipino. Ang mga farmers, mangingisda ay nagpapakain sa Pilipino. So even in the cities, they must have their own food security program. In what way? For example, Quezon City or Makati, di ba kumakain sila? At para hindi sila maubusan, mayroon tayo tinatawag na food banks or food market, yung malalaking bagsakan. I was already starting to implement 4 na quadrant dito sa Metro Manila, at per quadrant may malaking market, kagaya FPI for South East, isa sa Quezon City, isa sa Valenzuela, isa dito sa isang Western South municipality. Now the whole idea again, even every municipality or city ay magkaroon dapat sila ng food banks para hindi sila, kung may sakuna, saka lang sila bumibili. So yun, that's the mindset that we must have to have during these times na may, for example, earthquake and the like, natural disaster, may pagkukunan ang mga LGUs para doon sa constituencies nila. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will have to stop there. Let's discuss what I have presented. And I believe mayroon kayo po na pulot na kahit isa o dalawa na idea. At sana tulungan po natin ang ating gobyerno na umangat at paangatin natin ang sektor ng agrikultura. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Secretary Dar. May tanong po tayo, katanungan po tayo. Please, feel free, we have few minutes na iiwan bago matapos. Kung may katanungan po tayo kay Secretary Dar, please identify yourself and your group, kung may grupo kayo. Farmers Association, di ba kung nasa?
I'm Jake Ortiz, I'm a broadcast journalist.
Come again, sir?
I'm Jake Ortiz, broadcast journalist.
Okay.
How many hectares are we talking about sa total hectareage na pwede tamnan palay sa Philippines?
Okay, double season ay nasa 4.7 billion hectares.
4.7 million.
Oh,
And our requirement for every Filipino is around 130 kilos.
118 kilos.
118. So that's around 14 million tons.
Okay, nasaan na tayo sa bigas? I know where you're leading. Nung 2022, ang production na po natin, we have the highest harvest record in rice in the history of Philippine agriculture, 19.96 million metric tons. Meaning we have reached about 92% of our requirements. Meaning mayroon pang kakulangan na 8%. And that's why mayroon tayo inaangkat almost 2 million to 3 million tons every year.
So that's the reality of Philippine agriculture. And kita ko yung presentation, you have diversification, which is correct. Tama yan. And di ba late na tayo para sa modernization?
Well, may batas na Up-Bgc noong 25 years ago, yan pa rin ang problema ngayon. So, kailangan pa rin.
Ang mga problema, implementation.
Tama po.
Implementation. And,
At kulang ng budget ng agrikultura.
so, ibig sabihin, wala nga hindi priority.
Yun po ang
Yan
totoo.
ang the reality sa
Let me highlight, yung budget natin noong 2022 ay nasa 1.5% of national budget. Sa 2023, umangat kasi nandyan na si President Marcos. naging 1.7 itong taon na ito. Sana nga tataas pa hanggat ma-reach natin minimum of 3% of our national budget.
Sa totoo yan, ayaw na realidad, hindi priority ang agriculture sa
Napabayaan po,
sa
neglected.
ating gobyerno. Unlike other countries, na sinabi mo kanina, Vietnam, Thailand, even China. Sa China, lahat ng may tubig, mayroon silang fish cages. Tayo, napakalaki ng ating water resources, wala tayong masyadong ganyan kuwan, ano? But anyway, that's what I'm saying sa aking programa. Now, we have issue ng food security. At wala tayong magagawa dahil ayon sa inyo, napabayaan ang ating agrikultura. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat po. Let me emphasize one more thing. So, with particularly sa rice now, nasa 92% lang tayo. So what will government do? Dun sa 8%, di ba? And there's no other way to secure the food if you don't bring in
You have to import.
from other countries. So that's the balancing act government has to do.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Now, another one, then it will be our, then another, the last one is the other lady. Please, identify yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alan Cadaraw. I'm one of the officers of the organization that I have BPM movement from Fairview, Quezon City.
Yes, sir.
So I'm the vice president actually. Now, actually, alam naman po namin yung ating meron po siyang programa, subsidy program para sa ating mga magsasaka. Okay, actually, yung aming organization po, meron kami mga farmer members from the Asia. So galing po kami doon I think this year, para ang talo po namin is organize kami ng cooperative fund sa mga farmer members natin in that area. But the problem is, nung kami nanggaling doon, nakausap po namin yung aming mga director. So ang reklamo po nila, yung mga subsidy program ng gobyerno, hindi po nakakarating sa kanila directly. So, lumadaan po sa gobyerno, sa LGU, and ang nangyayari po is napopoliticize. So, hindi po nakakarating dito dun sa magsasaka. Kaya, so, ang question po is, paano po natin sila matutulungan? Dahil yung mga subsidy program ng gobyerno natin is makarating sa kanila.
Tama po, maraming observation na ganyan. Totoo yan. Number one requirement po kasi magpalista bawat magsasaka at mangingisda doon sa RSBSA, Farmers Registry yun. Pag wala ka doon at pinuliti ka, talagang wala ka. Yun ang problema natin. Ayaw ng mga mayor na magpalista ka, ayaw, that's it. That's the reality there. But kung mayroon mga feedbacks like that, dapat isang guni po doon sa regional office.
Yes, sir. Actually, those partner members po natin are already have their RSPA registration. When we consulted it to the central office of the Department of Agriculture, ang sabi lang po nila, wala silang magagawa.
Then pangalawa, yung
That's the
dapat
procedure.
mag-membro kayo ng kooperatiba para doon na ibibigay kasi yung mga subsidies. Hindi na individual.
Yes. Thank you. The last question.
Good afternoon,
Yeah,
everyone.
kasi we are
I am
running
Dori
short.
Maestre.
Louder, please.
I'm Dori Maestre, a government employee at the Department of Justice. I grew up with a farmer from Iloilo. Okay. Since we are a farming country, I would like to ask and I like to raise some issues. Ito pong conversion ng mga agricultural land into subdivision land. Yan po yung nakakabawa sa ating production. Wala na pong gumagawa ng mga farmers. Yung mga anak ng farmers, so, puro naka-gadgets na, puro naka-cellphone na, puro na sa abroad, DH o skilled workers. Now, bakit hindi tayo mag-create dito sa Pilipinas? Ibig na mag-import tayo ng bigas, ng carrots, ng isda, o di mo ho isda ini-import na. Why? Kasi yung atin ng mga lupa, puro subdivision na ho nakatayo. At puro tamad na ho ang mga Pilipino. Now, pautangin natin. Pautangin ho ninyo, tinutungin sa pera. What we need is monitoring. Correct? Nagpapautang ho tayo, hindi natin minomonitor. Anong ginagawa na pinautang po natin? Tinungkis lang po yung pera. No? Dapat po, nagpapautang tayo, nag-modernize po tayo. Meron po tayo monitoring dyan. Sayang po ang pera ng gobyerno kung wala naman ho nagbabantay. At sana po tigilan natin ito importation. Doon po sa Abra, nabubulok na ho yung mga paninday. Nakita ko sa TV. Wala hong bumibili. Tinatapon lang ho. May puhunan po yun. So dapat po yun, ang bigyan natin ng market. Ito mga Pilipino. Hindi yung pag-i-import dito. Nung araw, maliit pa ako kung dito nag-import ng asukal eh. Marami sa Negros, marami sa Batangas. Ngayon, marami artificial sugar, kaya marami cancer. Tama ho. Dapat tayo. Dapat bigyan natin dito. Alam yun, organic farming eh. That's why I'm very happy to attend this forum.
Ito po.
Hindi natin kailangan maraming budget. Kailangan natin dito cooperation ng mga farmers, monitoring, at saka tutok talaga ho kayo. Huwag yung bigay po na niiwan nyo lang po. Kasubala na ho napupunta yan. Huwag tayo mag-import ng bigas. Marami po bundok, walang tanim. Pati natipunin yan, tamna natin.
Akala ko tapos na po yan.
Nagpapadala tayo ng workers sa Japan. Tama yan. Pati tayo mag-introduce
Sige
dito.
po, we empathize with you.
Yeah.
May nangyayari ng conversion sa mga...
Subdivision na. Bulacan.
Tama po, natapos na kayo. I will talk na.
Okay, thank you so much. My pleasure.
At ang isang batas na pangangailangan ng bansa in relation to that, yung land use, national land use, focus tayo ngayon. Although to some degree, LGUs have to have their own ordinances, but to what extent they are implementing that land use remains to be seen. So, tama po kayo, we have to now help the small farmers become more productive and competitive by boosting their productivity and competitiveness. So, ngayon na wala pa tayong kakayanan na mag-produce 100%, that's why balancing act yung ginagawa ng gobyerno na magpa-import. Eh kung hindi ka magpa-import, mas marami magugutom. Yun po, balancing act lang yun.
Maraming salamat po. Siguro just in summary of the lady here, last question, last na lang po. Kasi we are running short of time po. Ito, bibigyan natin yung oras. So siguro, maganda, just a summary, John F. Kennedy, ano sabi niya, let's do something, let's do for our country, not the country, not the government or whatever the country can do for you. So gagawin natin, makatulong tayo, magsimula tayo sa sarili. Last question, kasi we're running short of time. How much to our desire na may question kayo lahat? Last question please. Identify yourself, sir.
Good morning po sa inyo lahat. Ako po ay former congressman noong 14 at saka 15 congresses. Ay, nung tapos po ako, I think of making feasibility studies for the taxation. Sige, yun po ako. Ngayon, ang napokolekta lang natin is 25% ng collectible tax. Ang nagawa ako ng feasibility studies. Pero aside from that, gumawa din ako ng libro na Barangay Livelihood Kit. Ang ibig sabihin, tama lahat yung sinabi ng ating secretary, pero up to the municipal level. Yung sa akin po ay livelihood kit, food security, barangay livelihood kit. Ang ibig sabihin po nitong livelihood kit na ito, in every barangay, magtayo sila ng co-op. It is barangay, not the municipality, because municipality is very big. In every barangay, pipili sila. I have 4 books. Na unang-una, vegetables. Pangalawa, yung manok, yung hogs, chicken, mga duck. Pangatlo, yung twist. Pangapat, aqua. Ngayon, in every barangay, they must to choose. Then, pagkatapos, yung sa isang munisipyo, palitan lang sila ng ng kalat. Palitan sila ng goods. Yung market, wala nang pupunta sa market. Bababa ang ating inflation. Kanya, yung ating association is what you sow, you reap. Kanya yung aking katagadon, sa ikauunlad ng bayan, magtanim ang kailangan.
Oh, thank you po. Maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat. So, household,
Ang tawag po natin dyan ay household food security.
Yes, yes, yes.
So maganda yung panukala at sana yung mga LGUs, hindi kaya lahat ng DA po yun. Dapat ang mga LGUs po ang dapat may programa doon sa barangay level.
Yes.
Siguro last na lang talaga, sir. If you don't mind, si sir na lang. Kasi po wala na tayong oras, baka mapagalingan na po tayo.
Maraming salamat po. Ang akin po naman ay hindi katanungan, kundi pakiusap sa lahat na tayo po ay manalangin na yung napakagandang mga suggestion ng ating dating ng agrikultura ay pansinin po ng susunod na sekretary o pag-agrikulture. Kapagkat ito po ay pinuhos sa pamamagitan ng tulong din ng mga kapwa dalubhasa at kahit sino ang mapalagay dyan, pagka ito po ay binigyan ng pansin, kapalagay ko po naman ang ating bayan ay medyo makakaahon sa ating nararanasan sa po yan. Palakpak po natin.
So, maraming sa inyo lahat. Kagaya ng sabi ni sir, kagaya ng karamihan sa atin, simulan natin sa ating sarili. Mag-isip tayo ng paano natin matulungan ang gobyerno, hindi yung gobyerno lang ang palagi tumutulong sa atin. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat Secretary Dan at sa ating mga guests. Thank you very much po.
Ibang guest naman po, ibang speaker.